Well, we're in the studio today in Nashville with Russ Long, producer, engineer, mixer, writer, just one of the most versatile people I've ever met in the recording industry. And we're here in his studio, affectionately known as the Carport. And Russ is one of the early adapters of Triad-Orbit, and we just wanted to talk with him a little bit about how he's integrated Triad-Orbit stands and hardware into his recording routine.
I think it was a year and a half ago when I was first introduced to Triad-Orbit stands, and I received an email from Dave Rochester, a friend, and he said, "Man, you've got to come check out these mic stands." And I've never received, I've got an email saying you got to check out this new microphone or you got to check out this new preamp, but nobody's ever sent me an email about checking out a mic stand. And he followed it up with a second email shortly after, and I was like, well, man, I need to go check these out. If somebody's going to take the time to email about a mic stand, and then I need to check it out. And I didn't have that high expectations, but I remember walking in and being blown away. First of all, before I even saw the things at work, they weigh, it is so solid and well made, and it's built like a tank. You just pick it up and it's like, wow, that's what I need to be putting my $7,500 microphone on, not some flimsy stand that you're worried about tipping over when you barely touch it. It's so robust and rugged that there's no fear at all about hanging an expensive microphone from it. And that was before I even had any kind of demonstration or anything. But as I was walked through it and I saw how much thought and planning had went into their construction, I was again impressed. And it was, instead of some generic stand, which somehow we've become accustomed to because we've been seeing them our whole career, but it's finally somebody went in and they saw the needs of the engineers in the studios, and they designed a stand to meet those needs rather than just building a stand and demanding that people adapt to what they've created. And it's the first time I've ever seen that from a stands perspective, and I couldn't wait to get one. And I thankfully have 3 of them. I've been using them for over a year now, and I love them. I can't believe how much they've changed my workflow and how I interact with my microphones in the studio, and they've just been fantastic.
How these stands, how's Triad-Orbit changed the way you work in smaller spaces?
So originally, I was doing more acoustic guitar, electric guitar, vocal overdubs, but in this new era of lower budget recording, a lot of times I'll record a project where we can't afford to go to a major studio to track drums. So I'll actually do drums here. And the space is pretty small, so every square foot of floor space is valuable. And the thing about the Triad-Orbit stands that are amazing, first of all, they make this fantastic 2-arm stand that allows me to mic. I can use it to mic the top and bottom of a snare drum. I can use it to mic 2 rack toms. I can use it for 2 overheads. I can use it for snare top and hi-hat. But I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, essentially. I've got a tripod on the floor and only 1 tripod instead of multiple tripods. And second of all, because they're so rugged, they're so heavy duty, the connections are so strong, I don't need a big counterweight unless I'm just using a huge microphone. But for my drum mics, I can use whatever mic I always use on the snare top, whatever mic I always use on the hi-hat, and not have to have big counterweights sticking out the back. So I'm using way less both floor space and air space when I mic a kit with Triad-Orbit stands, and ends up being a huge space saver, which when you're dealing with this tight space anyway, the musicians feel more comfortable. They don't feel like they're having to squeeze between stands when they go get behind the drum kit, and it's fantastic.
So in addition to all your studio work, you are also a noted front of house engineer, And for the last few years, you've done front of house for Amy Grant. Tell us a little bit about that experience and how you brought Triad-Orbit in for Amy.
Well, Amy typically doesn't carry production. We usually go in, carry our own backline, but don't carry the sound system. We're usually dealing with local production or higher production for that specific show. And we found that the consistency of mic stands were drastically different from show to show. And with Amy being the star, the artist, the downstage center face, we decided we needed to make sure that even if the sound company had less than adequate stands, we need to make sure that she's got a great stand that both looks good and performs perfectly for the show. It's not as big of a deal if a background vocalist just happened to tighten their stand a couple times during the show, but you can't have Amy downstage center messing with her stand night after night and throwing it off her performance and throwing off her communication with the audience. So we decided we need to get the best possible stand and carry it with us, so she's always has a great stand. And of course we decided the Triad-Orbit was the perfect stand. We've been using it for a little over a year now, and it's amazing. It looks great, works perfectly, and it's always exciting when you go into a new venue, because Triad-Orbit's still a new enough company that a lot of these sound companies have never seen it, and you get this whole, all of a sudden it's a setup stopper. All these, the local crew guys and the sound company are all like, wow, what's that? Wow, and they all want to pick it up and say, I can't believe it's made so heavy, and it's so, I can't believe they try to bend it, and it's just, they're blown away every time. So besides being a big head turner, it's great having the consistency of a stand that looks amazing and performs flawlessly night after night.